that is far more about giving pleasure than taking pleasure. One of the things I really wanted to point out was, and I'll just, is about concupiscence of the eyes. Joseph Pieper says, "Not for nothing does the Holy Scripture name concupiscence of the eyes among the three powers which constitute the world that lieth in the power of evil. It reaches the extremes of its destructive and eradicating power when it builds itself a world according to its own image and likeness, when it surrounds itself with the restlessness of a perpetual moving picture of meaningless shows." What better description of pornographic images? "And with literally deafening noise of impressions and sensations breathlessly rushing past the windows of the senses, behind the flimsy pomp of its facade dwells absolute nothingness." And this is what Kierkegaard talks about, despair being at the root of the hedonistic lifestyle. And this pursuit of pleasure is merely an attempt at masking the emptiness that they feel. The void of emptiness is being filled with titillation, stimulation, and prurience. So, there's two things. I want to close just with something before I get into dealing with this problem. William Blake says the nakedness of a woman is the work of God. Chastity and purity have always been the great virtues that come naturally to women, but which men must learn. The Quran uses Mary, the mother of Christ, as the great paragon of chastity and virtue and purity of heart, and describes her as an ideal for men and women. An ideal for men and women. Quote, "And God has made an exemplar for those who believe in Mary, who guarded her chastity. So we breathed our spirit into her, and she confirmed the pronouncements and scriptures of her Lord and was among the pious." It is from women, then, that men learn chastity and purity, which in turn protect the sacred nature of women, alluded to in the Arabic word for woman, hurma, which means that which is sacred. Now, the failure of men in imitating women in their natural virtue has resulted in women rejecting the double standard of men and imitating men in their natural vice. The spiritual power of women is great, but so too is the power of their physical attraction to men. It is this power that causes vile men to dominate women and virtuous men to honor and want to protect them. But that physical power of the female form over men is a sensory power that veils men from her metaphysical meaning. Her sensual form prevents man lost in carnality from knowing her spiritual reality. She is the source of mercy in the world. The Arabic and Hebrew word for womb is raham. From that is derived the word for mercy, rahmah. And the womb is also an expression of the creative power of God in man. In degrading women, we degrade the highest qualities of our human nature. In elevating her, we elevate our highest nature. When her natural virtues, compassion, kindness, caring, selflessness, and love predominate in men, men are able to overcome their natural vices and realize their full humanity. When, however, those virtues are absent, men descend to the lowest of the low and are worse than beasts. In unveiling the outward beauty of a woman, we become veiled from her inward beauty. As a poet from the distant past, Jami', who's the equal of Rumi in Persian tradition, said, "I said to my rosy-cheeked lovely, 'Oh, you with bud-like mouth, why keep hiding your face like flirting girls?' She laughed and said, 'Unlike the beauties of your world, in the veil I'm seen, but without it I'm hidden.'" I want to just offer quickly, and I'm done, just some ways of dealing with this. The first is tipping point principles. We have to influence mavens, influencers, connectors. We have to get to these people. These people are going to change the discourse. We have to understand the power of context, the common weal, the importance of children in the public space, that they should be guarded from these type of degrading images. In the 60s and 70s, feminists argued that pornography was exploitation of women. So what was the pornographic reaction? Well, okay, we'll make it equal opportunity exploitation. So now we have to bear naked images of men on Calvin Klein advertising and things like that. The second is, I think, to recognize Callie Lawson's approach in Adbusters, the uncooling of brands, and make an uncooling of pornography. In movies now, you often see cool references to pornography. It's a hip thing. I'm a porn star in practice, this type of thing, that we have to make it uncool. Losers do this. This needs to be done in Hollywood films, things like this, so it's seen for what it is, that it's a pathetic and degrading state of a human being. Also business studies, because if you really want to get some funding for serious studies, then just show businesses what they're losing in productivity because of people using online porn. Last week, Time magazine mentioned that since the recession, pornography in the workspace has gone up considerably. One of the things they're only measuring is paid pornography. They're not measuring free downloads. So I think there's some important studies. If we can show the business community the harm in productivity, we're going to get some funding to really look at this thing at a deeper level. Religious secular alliances based on the protection of children and family is very important. Toynbee warned us, the vulgarization of culture, when the elite become vulgarized, it's a sign you're on your way out. And he studied 21 civilizations to come to that conclusion. When Paris Hilton becomes a porn star, something's very seriously wrong in our culture when these people are completely vulgarized. Finally, censorship, taboo topic, but hey, Karl Popper, in his last interviews, which are worth reading, and this is the man who wrote The Open Society, was arguing that we have to enforce censorship laws when it comes to violence on television. He said we're going to destroy our culture, and I think if he knew the devastating impact of this and the social science behind it, I think he would be saying that about that. It's something to think about. Finally, I really want to thank you. We are not the first pornified culture. People tend to forget Pompeii was a pornified culture. When Pompeii was excavated, one of the things they found in the houses were murals, pornographic murals, cunnilingus being performed. These were taken and hidden and used in a private museum for the aristocrats. So aristocrats used to visit this. Now they're open for the public because it wasn't deemed acceptable to show the plebeians these type of images. But I think in many ways Pompeii is a beautiful metaphor. If we allow the pornification of this culture, we may find ourselves buried in the ashes of the meaning of our society. Thank you.